This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Bruchim habayim. We continue in the Orchos Chaim of the Rosh. We're continuing in our review. Today we're going to be learning Yom Sheni, the second day. The second day of the Orchos Chaim of the Rosh. We begin with number 27. So the day one was quite a large day. We did the first 26, which ended off with the idea that Hashgacha Pratis is the foundational principle and the hallmark characteristic of the Jew. This is Segulas Yisrael Mikal Ha'amim and the Yesod of Kol HaTorah Kula. We're up to number 27. Leharchik Gaiva Vakas, to distance from arrogance and anger. Even though the Sefer began that one has to distance from arrogance, that was number 1. And number 6 was kas. Nevertheless, there are two things that you have to go to the nth extreme. So since these two midos, one has to go to the nth extreme, therefore, the Rosh reiterates that one should distance from arrogance and anger, and scold the Yetzer Hara who tries to persuade you to go after your heart. Don't follow his ways, because if you follow the ways of the Seichel, then your ways will be pure and straight. Number 28. Distance yourself from a false word. Not only that, don't emit the name of God in vain and not in a dirty spot. So not only should you distance yourself from falsehood, but the way the Rav Goldberg explained that is don't say God's name in vain, even though it's not sheker. Just so the way he explains it is, it first picks the more chomer one and then the lesser of the two. Number 29. Remove from yourself the feeling of reliability on people. Because so long as you are reliant on people, everything that you do will be for publicity. Because you need people. But instead, serve Hashem modestly, and the only way to do that is to remove one's reliability on man. Do not make gold and money your support, your stability, because this is the beginning of Avodah Zarah. The beginning of Avodah Zarah is the worship of money. Interesting, the Rosh says, scatter, disperse, dispense of your money as is the will of Hashem, because Hashem has the ability to fulfill your lacking, and meaning don't think that by dispersing your money and by being giving and generous you're going to lose. No, Hashem has the ability to fulfill it, and not only that, but to add to one's money. Number 30, know Hashem, the God of your father. Meaning, don't just serve Him out of tradition, but know Him personally. And if you have that inner Yirah Shamayim, then your words should be evaluated on a scale. You should have a righteous yes. Your confirmation should be just and upright. Then the Rosh says, it should be easier in your eyes to spend money than to say words. Okay? We know how hesitant people are to spend money. It should be easier for you to spend money than it is to talk. Now, that's something that we have to challenge ourselves, because people have a very easy time talking about nonsense, about ridiculousness, the same things over and over again. No, in one's eyes, it should be easier to spend money than to talk. Don't be hasty to emit something that is ra. Don't be quick to say a davar ra until you evaluate it and weigh it in the scales of your seichel. Says the Rosh, one should confess his sins evening and morning. You should not lose out on that. and the remembrance of Tzion and Yerushalayim in a broken-hearted with worry and tears should never be lacking. Number 32, the Rosh says, remember the day of death always, and always remember to prepare provisions. And these two ideas, the day of death and to prepare, should always be in front of you. Those thoughts should be ready, should come to you constantly. The Yom HaMaves, and to prepare provisions. And you should soak your bed in these thoughts, meaning you should tearfully think about the Yom HaMaves and to prepare provisions. And your thoughts, your musings should shake you up. Thinking about Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai on his deathbed, being afraid, not knowing whether they would bring him to Gan Eden or Gehenna. Number 33, you should be a good friend to God-fearing people. Make sure you are friendly with God-fearing people, associate with them, and do not befriend wrongdoers. Love rebuke. Number 34, it is good and it is just to diminish in your own eyes your good actions. Don't be so this good thing I did, that good thing I did. You should undermine in your own mind the value of the good deeds you've done and magnify the sins you've done. And in your mind, magnify the chesed that Hashem has done for you. That He created you and He gives you food constantly. And by doing that, by thinking about how unworthy one's good deeds are and how many wrongdoings a person may have committed, then this will lead a person to serve Hashem, not to receive reward, but rather just to pay Hashem back for the magnitude of chesed that Hashem has done for us. Number 35, day and night, don't stop talking about Hashem. When you lie down, you should converse, you should think about your love of Hashem. When you get up, you should find your mind is also thinking and focused on the love of Hashem. When you're awake, it should occupy you. And this type of perspective of always being engrossed in the love of Hashem, that will straighten your path. Number 36, have kavana in your tefillah. Tefillah is the service of the heart. If your son would come to you and speak to you and say, what are you talking about? What's that gibberish, that nonsense you're spewing? It doesn't make any sense. And he said, I'm not really thinking about what I'm talking about. You'd be upset, you'd be angry. So if a putrid drop should speak before the Creator and he's not thinking about what he's saying, don't be like a servant that they gave him an honorable melacha, an honorable job, and he destroyed it, and he wasn't able to stand before the king. How goodly it is to ask God for slicha, for forgiveness, for praying, God forgive me, and you don't even have kavanah. And if one cannot have kavanah in all the tefillos, at least the first bracha of Shemona Esrei and the first pasuk of Shema, because one does not fulfill his obligation without that. Number 37, learn your parshiyos with the tzibur, Shnai Mikra Ve'echad Targum. Every week you should learn the parsha with the tzibur, Shnai Mikra Ve'echad Targum, with the commentary of Rashi, and analyze it, study it as much as you're able to. Likewise in the Gemara, because someone who learns Gemara, that is a very good trait, and one gets reward, and there is nothing better than that. And the study of Torah is the equivalent of all the mitzvahs in the Torah. So this is day 2. Be'ezus Hashem on Monday. We'll try for day 3. Wishing everybody a wonderful Shabbos. Join us tonight to uncover and discover the name of Mashiach. Right? You know what the name of Mashiach is? You don't know. But after today's shiur, you will know what Mashiach's name is. 8:30 p.m. Be there, or don't be there, but don't miss it. Kol tov, everyone. Have a good night. Bracha v'atzlacha.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.